very warm welcome. Thank you so much for joining in. On behalf of TCS iON, this is Mudita Bansal, and I'm truly excited to welcome you all to this Jobinar on Generative AI, your gateway to a flourishing career. So, you know that we are living in a truly fascinating time, right? Where technology is not only supporting the industries, it's kind of redefining the industries today. Just think about it from the way we created the content earlier and the way it is created today, the way the designs are built, data is analyzed, and even how the customers are served. AI has quietly become the engine that drives it all. And right at the heart of this revolution is generative AI. So today's session is all about understanding that big picture. What exactly is generative AI? How it is being used in real world corporate scenarios to solve complex challenges, how it is changing the job market, creating new opportunities, new age roles. We'll talk about certain roles like GenAI developers, GenAI architects, and a bit more. And most importantly, what are the skills required? What are the skills in demand? And how can you begin your own AI journey? Even if you don't come from a technical background, or maybe you are from technical background, but you're not technically strong. You haven't gotten interested in coding in your, IT education so far. So all of those aspects will be covered to help you learners build these future ready skills. TCS iON has collaborated with so many INIs. Those who've attended our sessions earlier are aware of it. Today, we are also going to touch upon two such courses by IIT Kharagpur and one by IIT Bhubaneswar in AI and in cloud computing, respectively. So I'll share more about these programs in during the session. But let me first introduce our guest expert today, Mr. Hemant Tendolkar. He comes with 25 years of IT experience. His love for programming and his passion for learning drives him till today. Over the years, he's worked in diverse roles from pre-sales and solution design to architecture, development, go-to-market strategy, leading the centers of excellence, the COEs that we call in TCS and so many other organizations, and even delivering technical trainings. So a very interesting fact that we got to know about Hemant is that in 2021, he took on a challenge in TCS's AWS cloud unit that he wants to work on AI/ML, conversational experience, and DevOps. He also earned certain certifications in AWS, Azure, Google Cloud, especially in generative AI, and then delivered successful proof of concept for global clients in healthcare and technology sectors. I hope that is inspiring enough for you all. You can learn any technology at any stage of life. Yeah. A self-described hardcore techie, Hemant thrives on solving complex challenges, learning new technologies, and pushing boundaries. Hemant, we're very excited to have you today to share your insights and experiences and guide the audience on generative AI. A very warm welcome to you.
Thank you so much, Vadita.
So it would be interesting if you walk us through those roles, deep dive into what the students can expect, what are the skills that they can work on to get into those kind of roles. And then, Hemant, of course, carry on with your case studies. It'll be very interesting to understand what is happening in the corporate world and what is that the students should look forward to when they join the corporate world. Over to you, Hemant.
Non-engineers. So while we are starting with software developer versus architect and all, there is stuff here for non-engineers, especially in generative AI. So just be patient with us. So this is the agenda that I was planning. So overall talk about developer, architect, as well as business analyst, which is a very critical role in GenAI projects. And then I have these case studies, BFSI and manufacturing. And then, of course, I'll also talk a little bit about some of the new concepts, that we are seeing in use in our projects that we are getting in TCS. Just referencing a previous Jobinar, which Shruti, one of my colleagues, had taken. She's gone through very nicely through the details and the basics of AI, ML, GenAI, etc. I am just going to chance upon a few of the latest trends which have come up and which are, I'm actually working in a GenAI project for one of our US-based healthcare clients. That is the case study one that I'll be presenting out here. So we'll talk about all of these here. So to start with the developer versus architect typical role. Okay, I'm not talking about GenAI just yet. More about the software engineer versus a software architect kind of a role. I would describe it as a journey. As 90% of you got it right. Almost all of us, when we started our career, we started it by working as a software engineer or a developer, as we call it, or coder. That's another term that we a few days ago. Mainly the focus is on, or at least it used to be on learning various programming languages and, building the applications. And getting into the code, writing those lines of code, running them, testing them out, seeing that things are working or not, etc. So all those were typical roles that we used to all start with, and from there all the way till an architect. Now within architect also there are various progressively higher architectural roles that you can take up. But when we are talking about an architect, as you all correctly answered, the job of an architect actually evolves a little further beyond just the application. He has to not just look at one application, he or she, multiple applications is what they need to cater to. And then on top of that, the most crucial aspect of an architect is to make sure that the application or the software or the program or code, whatever you have built from your engineers, it's actually leading to the business benefits that the company, which is, so in TCS's case, it can be TCS's own internal software that we use for our own employees, or it can be for our clients. Most of the times it will be for the clients that we build these applications for. So we have to make sure that whoever is the the person who's footing the bill, right, whoever is paying the money, they are making heavy investments. Most of these projects, go anywhere between 100K USD to, millions of USD. And when people are making these kind of investments and, indirectly, I'll say paying our salaries, to do this work, they have to be happy that, whatever we have built, it actually is, helping them reap the benefits. It can be in terms of time saved, or it can be, more revenues. It can be higher revenues at lower costs, so can we reduce the cost? Can we reduce the time? Can we make the business more agile? Can they roll out new products or new features for their end customers more quickly using the application that we have built? So that's the crucial difference between an architect. It's not that architects don't code. As Mudita explained, I love to program, I love to code. So till date, even today, I have a certain code deliverable with me for my project. But at the same time, I have to take a look at the big picture as well and make sure that I'm doing and achieving the end result that the business, which is paying for this software development, are they getting satisfied or not? So that's the high level, and therefore it's a journey from being an engineer to an architect. Okay? If we go to the next slide, I've talked a little bit about how these roles actually change, or have been modified when we are talking about GenAI. So first of all, when you're talking about GenAI developers as well as architects, and we'll talk about the business analyst and all the other roles in between. The first thing that has changed actually, the most important thing that has happened is we ourselves are using a lot of GenAI to help in our work, right? So GenAI developers now no longer need to actually start, coding from scratch. Earlier, of course, when we were working on projects, we used to, Google for a lot of our code from Stack Overflow, or Stack Exchange, etc., and use that code as a reference. Or sometimes we used to get perfectly working code from any of these sites. Now we don't need to do that anymore. We have solutions like GitHub Copilot or Amazon Q or a lot of these vibe coding which is coming. So programming still remains important. These tools maybe are, even I have used extensively in the last 6 months in this project. They are about 80 to 90% accurate. But at the same time, the remaining 10 to 20% is where the crucial difference we as developers or architects or designers and progressive roles, we need to be very careful. Quite a lot of times the code might not be correct. Quite often you will see that what could have been done in 10 lines is getting done in 100 lines. Okay, just because the coding agent is actually trying to be very, very perfect with it and things like that, which might not be required. Okay, so that's where to some extent a reviewer's job comes in. But other than that, mainly a developer is all about hands-on implementing, creating, fine-tuning, or using the GenAI models, I'll say. Focus remains on coding, debugging, testing, the usual work that we used to do earlier. But as I have highlighted in one of the prompts over there, one of the bullet points over there, the latest programming language, as we say now, is English. Okay, because prompt engineering for business and for coding has become very crucial. So even GenAI developers need to be aware of the various prompt engineering techniques and be able to apply them in their day-to-day. Okay, so that is an important thing that has come in. And then, of course, if you are working on projects where you're actually fine-tuning or creating your own GenAI models, then thorough understanding of machine learning, deep learning, etc., all those become very, very important. Okay. Versus when we look at the architect, again, the focus remains on the high-level design, strategic planning, etc., and making sure that the business objectives are getting met. So as long as the business objectives are getting met, GenAI architect's job is done. That I think is the most crucial aspect of it. Once that is there, of course, key skills remain. Technical acumen, business acumen is very much important. Being able to communicate with the stakeholders, whether it's your IT director of the client or it's the business users, who have absolutely no idea about what is a website or what is a chatbot, etc. All spectrum of stakeholders you will need to communicate with. So communication skills itself becomes very, very important. And then typical architect skills like designing, implementing, integrating solutions. Quite often, most of the projects that we do, it'll not be a typical one single application. There'll be so many interfaces, integrations built into it. So all that a GenAI architect typically will take care of. Moving to the next slide. Now, this is where non-engineers especially can pitch in, is where we talk about the business analyst. Now, the business analyst, while I said that the architect main focus is making sure that the application that is being built is providing the business value, the business analyst is actually the person whose key responsibility is making sure that the business value is getting achieved. Okay, he or she might not be so bothered about whether you have done the coding in Python or .NET, if you have done if you are using GitHub for your code versioning, etc. Those technical details they'll not be bothered about. Their razor sharp focus has to be on the fact that the users are able to use the application effectively. They are able to do a much better job than they were used to doing it earlier because of this application that we've built. And from a GenAI point of view, business analysts have to be aware to some extent at a very maybe 20,000, 50,000 feet level about what is AI all about, what is ML, what is deep learning at a very, very high level, and what is GenAI. So, how do you actually work on GenAI? What services are provided by your GenAI provider, etc. So all that, it becomes the key focus of a GenAI business analyst. So requirement gathering, stakeholder communication, and as I said, quality and compliance. Typically nowadays, what we are also seeing is the business analyst is also evolving as somebody who will be the the super user or the person responsible for the user acceptance testing, because they are, they've been so closely involved with the end users of the application. They also take up this additional responsibility of making sure that when the code is ready to go into production, they are like the final gatekeepers. They will do a round of testing, confirm that everything is working fine, and only then will we actually do the production deployment. So these are the typical traits of a business analyst. Now, quickly, when it comes to these roles and from a software developer to a software architect, what I also wanted to take up was these three areas of GenAI. So, as I mentioned, the most easiest, or I'll say the most non-technical aspect of any GenAI project will be prompt engineering. Even though it has the word engineering into it, it's actually more of language engineering, or actually the grammar of your natural language. So whether it's English or if you're dealing with European clients and things like that, various different languages that they are using. Prompt engineering is all about how do you make sure that whatever you are prompting to your LLM or your GenAI model, you are doing it in the correct way. Okay, so that is where a lot of these techniques are there. I'll not go into the details of this, but few short chain of thought, React prompting, etc. All these are mechanisms which are the easiest mechanism in terms of both the speed of getting the job done, and I'm sure, I mean, when all of us, I'm pretty sure all of us have used either ChatGPT or Gemini or one of these LLMs. So quite often we would have ourselves realized that sometimes we are having a certain context in our mind, and we ask a question to say ChatGPT or Gemini, and it will give a response back, and we'll be a little surprised that okay, I wasn't talking in that context. In my mind, I was actually asking this question in some other context, and that is where when you actually, then you will have to modify your prompt. You will have to either provide some additional information, whatever is in your mind as a context, and you didn't think that you had to spell it. So whatever you are looking for from GenAI, if that is not terms of integration or RAG as we call it, and that's where actually when you are typical ChatGPT or Gemini might not be. So if I give an example, suppose we are implementing ChatGPT for say Vodafone, okay, or Airtel. And if I ask them what is the cheapest Vodafone plan available for me in terms of prepaid plan, etc., for Mumbai circle or Delhi circle, etc., it's quite possible that these ChatGPT and Gemini might not be trained all the way till the circle level. What are the best plans which are available, right? Because when OpenAI would have trained ChatGPT, they might have done it based on all the articles that they found on the internet. But these details about their specific, what are the terms and conditions of this prepaid plan and postpaid plan, etc., might be something which resides in the internal knowledge base or database of Vodafone or an Airtel, right? So Gemini or ChatGPT might not be aware of that, and they might not be able to answer the question correctly. So that is where RAG comes into the picture, where what you're doing is you're using vector databases, which is a technical terminology, but essentially what you're doing is you're pointing these LLMs to the knowledge base of a company, internal knowledge base or internal, documents that a company has, etc. And what happens is the user's question when it comes, you first actually search the company's knowledge base, find the most relevant pieces of information, to the user's question, and then that, so basically that's how retrieval augmented generation works. So you retrieve the most, pertinent sections of internal knowledge base of a company for the user's question. You augment the user's question with that retrieved information, and then you ask the LLM to generate the answer. Okay, so that is when, suppose the user is asking the cheapest plan and what are the terms and conditions, you will actually go, you will be able to go to the internal knowledge base of say a Vodafone and Airtel, find out the PDF which has these terms and conditions, of a particular, the data postpaid plan of Mumbai Circle or something of that sort, and then that document and its content is sent as a augmented context to the LLM. And the LLM's job is only to, that is where your prompt engineering also comes in, and you prompt the LLM that your answer has to be only from this, context that I'm giving you, not from any other, material that you might have been trained on by OpenAI or any other sources. Okay, so that is where then the LLM is now, its job is just, simple English. It has to just figure out, okay, what is the question asking, and this is the 2, 3, 4 paragraphs or chunks as we call it of the text that I have been given as context. Let me try and figure out if I can make a or generate a answer to that question based on this context. So that becomes your RAG implementation, and that is where we see 90% of the projects that we are getting is all about RAG. 7 or 8% of it, we might be able to do just with prompt engineering. 90% of it is all about RAG, so implementing these RAG pipelines for your projects, and the remaining 2% is where that point number 3 comes in, which is fine tuning, which is something where you're actually changing the LLM itself. Either you're creating your own LLM or you're modifying the weights, as we call it, technical term, but mainly you're basically retraining the LLM altogether. And I'm sure quite a few of you might be aware, but if you are not, I think if I remember correctly, OpenAI 4.0, ChatGPT 4.0, the LLM that was launched not so long ago, it required, if I remember vaguely, 5,000 or was it 25,000 GPUs with very, very costly GPUs with high memory extra attached to them, running for a matter of at least 3 to 4 months, if not longer, to actually produce that ChatGPT 4. Okay, so you can very well imagine the cost and the time involved. If you are creating your own LLM, or if you want to even their basic things, you have quite a bit of GPU power. You will require at least, maybe I'll say 3 to 4 days, if not a week, if you are just doing very basic fine tuning. Anything above that, it will go into weeks or months of time, effort, money that you'll have to do. But what happens is, when you do this fine tuning, your LLM no longer requires these RAG pipelines and things like that, right? Because you've already trained it. So it's like, you train a specific instance of ChatGPT on all the documents that are there in a Vodafone knowledge base, or all the documents in, say, a HDFC Bank database. So now the LLM itself is ready. So the moment a user asks a question, there is no need to query the, the knowledge base and try and get the information. The LLM already has that knowledge inside it, so it's able to answer very rapidly. So that's where these fine-tuning kind of projects come into the picture. They are costly, they are time-consuming. That's 8% of our projects might be dealing with these kind of scenarios. So I hope I was able to, walk through the roles and the...
Definitely, Hemant. Thank you so much for that clarity. Manish Jha from among the audience has a question. What can he do as a non-tech student in GenAI? What can he do in GenAI as a non-tech student?
Correct. So see, one thing, what I can give you is, I keep giving this example. Okay, my wife is a banker. My brother-in-law was an insurance, person. And my sister-in-law, actually, I mean, his wife was actually a biology scientist. Okay. And all of them working in, a bank, an insurance company, and a pharma company. And all three, the AI and GenAI as such is, touching their lives so much that regardless of if you're in a non-tech role, the least you can do is use AI and GenAI now very easily for your own whatever job you're in. Okay, so that's number one. But if you're actually planning to get into a GenAI kind of a project, as I said, I might have made it sound like a joke, but really the latest programming language is English. So if you can prompt any of these vibe coding tools or GitHub Copilot, etc., correctly, it will get you a, as I said, 80 to 90% perfectly working application for you. Okay, so that's another aspect of what you can do. And the third thing, of course, is, as I said, the business analyst. Okay, so the business analyst, typically what we look for, recently for my project also, we looked for a business analyst from within TCS. And the first quality that we looked for was, because this client is a health insurance client, the domain knowledge was very critical. Okay, so quite often in TCS you will see we recruit doctors, we recruit bankers, we recruit telecom experts, etc., because of the knowledge of the domain that they have. So if as a non-tech person, if any particular industry or domain actually excites you, and you can build your domain knowledge in that particular thing, then you can always be a business analyst in any project for that matter, within any IT company. But the same skills and added to it your usage of GenAI, to help your domain knowledge and your, come up with these kind of domain specifications and, user requirements and things like that. And as I said, an overview of GenAI that should be more than sufficient to, help you become a business analyst in a GenAI implementation or a project.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Hemant, for clarifying. Manish and all the other non-IT students or non-coders in the audience. Let us go ahead and understand the next part. You mentioned that you have some case studies at hand that you would like to share. Let's understand what is it that the corporate world is doing in this regard.
This is the project that I'm working on myself right now. Okay, so typical health insurance. I don't know how many of you have come across these things, but whenever we fall ill and if we have a health insurance policy, we submit claims, right? Saying that, okay, or typical example I can take is, if you have taken a mobile insurance, for your mobile phone and it falls down and breaks and you claim on that insurance, right? So against any kind of asking my insurance company to reimburse me, correct? So usually the agents who are actually working on these claims, okay, they have to refer to a huge amount of data. Okay, this is something that, to be honest, before joining this project, even I wasn't aware that there are so many documents that they have to refer to. This is a US-based scenario, so of course there's again that there are certain federal documents, federal rules and laws and guidelines. Then there is state-based, rules, laws, guidelines. Then there's the company, for example, if I take the Indian context, we have Max Bupa and Star Health Insurance and things like that. So each company has its own policies and guidelines. Then on top of that, what we are talking about here is B2B2C kind of an insurance where you are insured via your employer. So if I take the example of, say, TCS, so suppose I as a TCS employee and TCS has taken, say, their health insurance for their employees via, say, Max Bupa or Star Health or whatever. So I as an employee, when I am, raising a claim, it's not just, the Max Bupa, the Star Health policies, but it's also about what contract has TCS entered into with this health insurance provider, and within that contract, which plan I have selected. So again, that's another set of documents, and then finally my claim related documents. So suppose it's a health insurance, so I've raised a claim for visiting the doctor. So there is an OPD fee. Then the doctor suggested to do some lab reports, so that's all those lab related documents come in, my reports and everything. Then suppose the doctor prescribed some medicine. So, the chemist claim documents, etc. come in. So as you can imagine, there are huge number of, documents that they have referred to. And these are, almost always, except for these, final 2-3 claim related documents, these policies and guidelines are like really massive documents. Okay. So that is where, in our particular example, the challenge was that these agents had very low productivity because they had to refer so many documents and they couldn't go wrong. You cannot accept a claim also incorrectly because that will lead to a loss to the company. You cannot reject a claim also incorrectly because somebody can sue you, saying that how did you reject my claim when it's a valid claim. So very, very critical kind of a role, and therefore they had to be very careful with checking each and every information that was being put in the claim, when accepting it, when rejecting it, when partially approving it, etc., and things like that. And it used to take a lot of time and a lot of effort and very, very menial kind of work. They had to continuously keep doing alt tab, one document, second document, third document. That is where, when we proposed the solution, if you can go to the next slide, all that they were actually looking for were answers, right? I mean, they just wanted to check that, okay, this is my, the person has made this claim. Now, what is his cover? Or does this policy, take care of this kind of health issues? Okay. So these were some of the typical questions that they had in their mind, but they had to actually go to different documents and find it. So that is where the solution that we built was a simple chatbot. You just, mention a particular claim number or things like that, and all the information related to that claim will be loaded into the memory. So the knowledge base is already loaded into the the vector database of our chatbot. And the moment the person refers to a particular claim number, only those 5-10 claim documents, and then 10-20 whatever documents relate to the contract of the employer and the insurance company, the insurance company's guidelines and all those things. Only those 20-30 documents will be filtered down to. And now the question, when it comes, whatever is the question of this claim agent, that will go through the normal RAG pipeline that I explained just a few minutes back. So, the question will be matched against all these 20-30 documents, all the paragraphs and the chunks in those documents. The top 3 to 4, chunks will be picked up from those documents. And then we used OpenAI. So we would, give that question and these 3, 4, 5 paragraphs to OpenAI and tell it that, okay, now answer this user's question only from these 4, 5 paragraphs that we are giving to you. And that's how the answer would come up. And, no alt tabbing, no, racking brains. And of course, to aid the trust of the user, every answer that we would provide, we would also give the citation saying that, okay, this part of the answer has come from this document. This part has come from this document, so that if the user has any doubt at all they have to do is just click on that link, and immediately only that specific document on that particular page, etc., will be opened, and he can confirm whether the answer that we have generated is it exactly the same over there in the document as well. So made life extremely easy. What we are expecting is, we rolled it out in production. The initial results, we are seeing that at least 30% bump in productivity, if not more, and tremendous help to the users. So we started with, I think, 100 users. Now we have gone up to 500 users, and every day we are getting requests from more and more teams that my colleague is benefiting from the solution. Why can't I have access to it and stuff like that? So we are doing it department by department. But we are seeing tremendous, excitement in our clients with respect to this chatbot. If you can go to the next slide, I'll quickly talk about the architecture. So this is, a solution that we have deployed on Azure cloud. So the Microsoft Azure cloud. The UI, we are, having a UI developer also in our project who's, well versed in, I think they're using React as the front end and .NET as the base for that. And that's how the UI, it's a single page application which has the chatbot inside it. Then that UI then calls various agents. So this is where agentic AI comes in. We'll talk about it a little bit later. And then we have various agents in this, which we are, talking to these various data stores, these knowledge bases that I talked about. And then we have the data pipeline and evaluation pipelines, which make sure that the latest documents are updated in our vector database and the knowledge store. So at a high level, this is the first case study that I wanted to talk about. Maybe we can take the second case study also immediately, Mudita, before we go to question answers.
We can, but yes, there are a couple of questions.
Sure.
Yes, so there are a couple of questions which are going to be addressed, but I wanted to assure the audience that yes, we are going to address them. Ranjit is AI versus GenAI versus agentic AI. Can you let us know the difference of these? I'm sure you're going to cover it in the future slides.
Yes.
Other question from a person, I forgot the name. I missed the name. Just a minute. He's asking about the roadmap. Okay, the name is quite odd. I don't think it's his correct name. The name is Knight. He's asking about the roadmap of how to learn Gen AI. If you could touch upon that as well in future.
What I have seen is Gemini and Google, overall the Google ecosystem provides a lot of free stuff, okay, versus Azure and AWS, probably not so much. And then of course you have, Olama and all these GenAI models, which are open source and you can download them on their local also. But Google as a, educational provider and a solution provider a lot of free courses and a free, hands-on tutorials are there. So I'll certainly suggest that to the audience out here. Yeah.
Okay. In fact,
So,
I have some more to add to it, Hemant. In TCS iON, we are collaborating, as I mentioned in the beginning also, we are collaborating with multiple IITs. So we have 2 certificate courses for which we are currently open for registrations. One is with IIT KGP. It's an AI, a certificate course in AI for real world applications. It's a completely practical course, and it is starting right in this month itself. The enrollments are closing on 20th of October. You will be taught by IIT professors. 80% of the course is practical and 20% of the course is theory. So I'm sure you understand how much hands-on experience you will get by attending this course. Attending the lectures given by IIT professors, IIT Kharagpur professors, is going to be another high for you all. You'll get ready for potential roles such as machine learning engineer, deep learning engineer. All of these roles are mentioned here: GPT-3 developer, AI engineer, data science engineer, all of them. And then, of course, you will get a certificate out after completing this course. You will also get the top 10% will also get an opportunity to visit the IIT Kharagpur campus and take their certificate there physically. That's a very prestigious moment that is going to be. I mean, and we've successfully completed 3 cohorts of this course already. We have also done an advanced course of IIT Kharagpur. That is going on. We've closed the registration for that. Another cohort will definitely start in a month or two. But this is regarding the first one. And I think, Hemant, you've also attended these courses, right? If you could also,
yes,
talk a bit about
correct.
it.
Yes, absolutely. I was saying was the HAI course is something that I had taken up last year, and it goes really into the depths. Traditional machine learning and AI was all about, lot to do with mathematical algorithms and, training algorithms on data and, doing multiple passes of those trainings and things like that. And the HAI course did a great job over there. Professors, IIT level professors, so what more can I say? Really knowledgeable in those aspects, and it was really helpful for me to get a basic, the foundational knowledge about ML. Till then, I was just using, libraries like Keras and scikit-learn and stuff like that to implement the AI/ML models. But when I underwent this course, it told me the foundational, logic behind it, how these various models and Keras and all these libraries are actually PyTorch, and these are how they were built and how they are working and stuff like that. And it helped me so much that I was in the second or the third cohort of that program. And then recently they came up with the first cohort of the HAI++ program, where they are now explaining GenAI also. And I've taken that course also, and I'm tremendously benefiting over there also. Here the focus is more on GenAI and agentic AI and these latest things that have come up. That's
So, do you
both,
think, Hemant, do
tremendously.
you think the person should do the basic course first, HAI, and then the HAI++?
Those who are new, first of all, in fact, if you're totally new, don't even do the HAI right away. Do certain courses and get the basics of at least using or training, how do you train an ML model and stuff like that. So that otherwise the HAI course might just go way over it. Okay. So you should be familiar with what is AI ML, what is machine learning, what is deep learning, etc. to some extent, and then take up the HAI course and then take up the HAI++ also. If you are very focused only on GenAI and you're sure that you don't really want to get into ML and DL, because it is rocket science. It is actually rocket science, very tough to comprehend. So if you're very sure that you don't want to get into that, then HAI++ can be taken up directly. So.
Okay, that's great. Let's move ahead with the next case study. Excitedly waiting for it, Hemant.
Sure.
Let's carry on. We can have the slide set, please.
Yeah. So it's just, an LLM which has been trained on so much data that you can ask any question and you immediately get the answer, right? You ChatGPT app you open or Gemini app you open, you ask a question, immediately within less than a second, you get the answer. Now that you don't have to spend any time in doing any training and things like that. And number two aspect is that it's trained on so much. That is why it's also sometimes known as we also call it as we are slowly approaching AGI, which is artificial general intelligence, where it has been trained on so much data that it can answer any question, right? You ask it about, so I'm sure you might have heard that all these LLMs, they have cracked the law exams, they have cracked the JEE, they have cracked the GMAT, the GRE, TOEFL, and all these kind of languages. So basically what I'm trying to say is that it's a general purpose model. So any question you ask it, it can answer. This is a very important, difference. So basically any GenAI implementation that we are doing, it's as simple as, the same LLM we can use, for multiple use cases. We don't need to have different LLMs for it. And the LLM is available right from day one as a simple API call. Okay, so it can be a Gemini call or an OpenAI call or a ChatGPT call from my Python code. All I have to do is, make an API call and I get the answers. Now, the case study 2 that you're looking at, this is actually something that we implemented traditional AIML. Okay, the challenge here was that they were doing this RFP intake process where basically an RFP is a request for proposal. And this was, a manufacturing company which was getting requests for various, proposals that mass manufacturing and things like that. And the idea was that the email comes in, you have to classify the email. That takes a bit of time. Then once the email has been classified, you have to, extract certain information from the email. Then the email is also attached. Also, if I remember correctly, there were 6 different categories of attachments which were expected in an RFP email, and we had to make sure that all those 6 different attachments were there in that email. Okay, once that is there, then we had to also extract data from those attachments. Okay, so all these, when we in the prior to our project implementation, all of these were manual, and there was a lot of missed opportunities as well as details, etc. In terms of these mails were going into an inbox, so a person might have easily missed some emails. Then they could have missed some of the details, or might have RFP process from an manual one into a completely automated process where they right from the email being received to being extracted to being classified to the data from the email getting extra of that email also getting classified, and the data from that attachment also getting extracted. The entire process, we used AWS as our engine and various AWS services for the traditional ML part. And now this client is actually looking at replacing the traditional AIML with generative AI. So that's the the transformation that we are looking at. Making this entire thing totally seamless, totally, no contact, no human touch required in this entire process all the way till the end. And along with the attachments and along with all the extracted data is visible to the user at the end. And all he has to do is just review. And once he's okay with everything, he just clicks a button and, the RFP goes to the next stage. Okay, so if you go to the next slide, I'll quickly take a look at the
Interestingly,
architecture as well.
You were presenting a manufacturing case study, and we have
Yeah.
Praveen, who is a working professional in the audience. He's asked a question that what are the ways that in manufacturing he can make a career in AI. So maybe while you are referring to the case study, detailing it out further, you can refer to his question and try answering that as well. Thank you.
So yeah, so multiple places we can use. First of all, manufacturing defect identification. So if there are any defects in the manufacturing process, computer vision and traditional AI come into the picture. This is an RFP process. So, when you're a manufacturing company, I'm sure you get a lot of bulk orders and things like that. So if they are asking for a certain thing that can be taken care, if I can explain this process itself, right? This is a typical RFP and quotation generation. So what we had done was we had this email listener and we had used Pega for the entire business process automation. And at the bottom, you will see all these, various NLP, AIML kind of services. Where we were doing the email classification, attachment classification, email data extraction, attachment data extraction, etc. And then everything was getting put into a database. And all these documents, what we call as unstructured documents, were now becoming structured, RFP data, which was in our database, and we could go ahead and proceed with, our the proposal and the quotation generation. Okay, so quotation, even in your manufacturing, if you have customer service, that's another place where the chatbots can come in. So these are all, various, right from the sales, service, engineering, and your customer service. You can have AI and GenAI.
So what we want to say with this is that the technical aspect is not the only aspect that we have to look for. If you're in manufacturing domain, your domain knowledge can help you create use cases of GenAI. That is how you can build your career in GenAI, Praveen.
Simplest way we
Uh,
say is wherever you are seeing anything that is, repetitive work, boring work, work which, doesn't really require human intelligence. Okay. That's where, artificial intelligence can pitch in. So any process, any, thing that you see, where you are having any kind of, very menial kind of work, very repetitive kind of work, doesn't really require too much of cognition or human intelligence. You can easily replace it with AI. We are done with the the main thing. I am a little constrained for time, but at the same time, I'm not intending these next few slides to be extremely detailed concept walkthroughs.
sure.
But I just wanted the audience to be aware of these are the various types of, so the different types of RAG. Now, we earlier started with simple RAG, but now we have RAG with memory, branched RAG, hypothetical document embedding kind of RAG. So all these various different types of RAGs are coming in. Again, as I said, Coursera, Udemy, even YouTube, so much material. There's, I think, Mr. Krishna Naik or someone who has an excellent, YouTube tutorial on this and all. And of course, all these courses that TCS iON is also conducting. So you can get all the details over there. The next few minutes, we'll just go quickly through each of these slides just to talk about these concepts so that this is something that we are actually seeing and working on in our projects. Okay. So types of RAG, if you can go to the next slide, graph RAG. Okay, graph RAG is all about, how do you actually create a knowledge graph out of all your documents. So it's not just, the paragraphs and the chunks that you're looking at, but you try and make sense, of all these paragraphs and documents together, to come at a higher level understanding of your data or the knowledge that you have. So that is called knowledge graph. So and graph RAG. So you can take a look at that in detail. Next one you can go to is this is another, almost 30% of my current project's effort. I have 8 developers working on the core RAG pipeline and everything. I have 3 people working on the RAG evaluation. Okay, so when you are building these RAG pipelines and this RAG solution, there are models like Ragas, DeepEval. I think Azure has come up with something of their own, where what we are trying to do is how accurate is your RAG. So just like in machine learning, we used to have your accuracy and various measures of accuracy, because finally you are just trying to predict the answers, right, in some way or the other. So that is where these evaluation frameworks come into the picture, and most clients, if not all, they want to make sure that their RAG pipeline is actually working correctly. It's nothing but RAG pipeline is generating that retrieval augmented generation that has happened. Is the generated answer correct? As per the context or the ground truth, is it actually answering the question that the user has asked and stuff like that? So these become important matrices, which are important for your RAG evaluation, and that is where that's also where the effort, quite a bit of the clients are also investing their time and money. So this is another important concept. If we can go to the next slide. Now this is query translation, or something we also call as multi-query. So here the concept is, the user has asked one question. Okay, how do I, is this claim appropriate as per the policy? Okay, I'm just giving a random example. Now, when you ask this question in natural language, you can ask the same question in 5 different ways, right? You can ask it in ABC, you can have DABC, or you can use entirely different words. Instead of policy, you can ask, what is my certificate file talk about? Claim certificate file. Or instead of my prescription, I can say, what has the doctor told? So different ways in which you can reword the question. So what we do out here is in multi-query, the same user's question, ask LLM only to generate the same question in multiple formats, because finally, when we are a database query, the vector database query actually depends on the actual word. So it's like, you are asking the same question, but in different words to your knowledge base, so that you might actually get a better answer than just asking one single question. So that is what is multi-query. Again, more details, just, Google it or attend any of these courses. Next slide is where I answer the third piece of that question. What is traditional AI? What is AI? Now taking a look at what is agentic AI. Okay. So agentic AI, you're basically having an LLM. Okay. As you can see in the diagram out here. And LLM is what is your GenAI, right? So you ask a question, the answer. Now, in an agentic framework or an agentic AI, an agent is nothing but an LLM plus some APIs plus some sort of memory or capacity to store information. So when you basically combine the power of an LLM is that you have, basically now what the LLM can do is, and that is where there are special flavors of LLMs. You might have come across these, that for example, you have chat GPT. I'm just throwing a random example. You will have chat GPT and you will have chat GPT with reasoning, or Gemini 2.5 Flash, and then Gemini 2.5 reasoning. Okay. So these reasoning LLMs, what they are doing is they are actually training or fine tuning these LLMs to be able to answer. So basically, the idea is that you're not just asking a simple question like, is this amount, can I approve this amount? Okay. It can be something more complex where you're asking the agent to actually do certain tasks for you. So that is where, the LLM, when you give a question like that to this agent, it will use the LLM's reasoning capability to come up with an action plan that, okay, now this user has asked this question. So to answer this question, I have to do these 5 different tasks. I have to reach out to, this knowledge base and get this answer. Then I have to invoke, say, a typical example I give, what were TCS has today only announced their quarterly results. Now, if I want to ask a question that, okay, what were TCS's latest quarterly results? And I want the answer in Australian dollar. Okay. So then the LLM has to understand that, okay, I have to go to some knowledge base where they have the TCS quarterly results. I have to fetch the dollar amount. Then I have to maybe invoke a Forex API, okay, which will, suppose the results are in INR and the user is asking in Australian dollars. So let me now invoke the second tool, which is my Forex API, and convert the revenue amount from INR into Australian dollars. And now I think I have the correct answer for the question that the user asked. So now I can go ahead and answer the question. So that is what agentic AI or AI agents are all about. It's like a reasoning kind of an LLM mixed with the power or combined with the power of multiple APIs that you provide to it, so that it not just answers the questions directly also, but it can actually come up with a big plan of taking steps 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 like that. And then for each of those steps, it can invoke different APIs and give you. That is what is agentic AI. Now, I think this is kind of like the second last content. When you come up with agentic AI, now they have also come up with multi-agents. So it's like here in this example, you can see that you have different agents which are actually having certain LLM and various APIs which are fixed to a particular domain or a particular area of an enterprise's work, and they are very specialized for that. So if I take my own project's example, we have one agent which is looking into all the various guideline documents from the federal government. We have another agent which looks specifically into all the documents with the state government. So different state governments have their own guidelines. Then we have another agent which is specialized for the payments integration. So it has all the various different APIs with respect to the payment of the premium, payment of the claim, payment of the refund of the claim, and things like that. So all kind of payment APIs are there with that. So like that, we have different agents. And now when a claim agent actually asks a question, our multi-agent system can then decide, okay, that this question has to go to the document, the federal guideline agent, and this question will be answered by the state guideline agent, or maybe it's a combination of two agents that I have to, run to give the answer to the agent. So that is what is a multi-agent system. Do I have
That's an important slide, Hemant. In fact, it really triggers a question. All these agents, they seem to be replacement of humans. So how do we assure the students? How do we assure the students that if they have certain skills, they will not be replaced? Or not students, but yeah, those who are working in such spaces, who is working as a marketing agent in a corporate, how will he be able to sustain his job as in the role?
Yeah, even till date, these agents are very rarely are they unobserved. Okay, almost at every step, the output that they're generating, it is getting reviewed by humans. Okay, so what we are basically looking at is the menial part, right? Like that case study that I explained of my current project, where he was doing he or she, the users were doing alt tab, different documents. Now, what we are doing is we are not actually replacing that claim agent, right? It's just that instead of going to 550 documents, he's on a question, he's seeing the answer. He can even click on the citation of the document, doing this claim or not, whether I'm, whether the answer is correct or not, and what do I do with it. So we are not replacing the agents, but we are just helping them find the information in a better way. So that is what these agents are doing even till date, to quite some extent. So most of the jobs that we are seeing, they might not be replaced, but yeah, the effort involved will be reduced. So how the company uses that reduction in effort is up to them. Whether they want to reduce the number of agents is one option at it. The other way at it is, we already have these employees who are well versed with our, knowledge base and our domain and everything. So if they are getting more free, then why don't we use them for some other work also? Because nowadays, work, especially post-COVID, we can see that there's no dearth of work, right? So that's where we are seeing a lot of these employees are actually getting retrained for some other work as well. So apart from this work, you can even take up that work. So that's how
So basically, you need to have the intent to learn, to upskill yourself, and you will be able to sustain yourself in the corporate market. Yeah. Thank you so much, Hemant. All this was could be overwhelming for some, but
yeah, I think there was one more slide about MCP. We need not go into the slide. Model Context Protocol. Again, something that you guys can read up upon. It's just a registry of all these tools and agents, so that you don't have to actually take a look at them. So you can just Google for this Model Context Protocol. This is also something that is getting heavily used. It's actually helping agents talk to agents. So when this multi-agents actually when they're coming up, we need not again program these agents. We just create this MCP server and MCP client, and we keep adding more and more agents and APIs into this MCP protocol, and the agents can start discovering more and more agents, and they can start talking to more and more agents with minimal human intervention. So that is what is MCP.
Other than that, there is another link that we are posting here of the Jobinar page. Now, Jobinars are sessions that we've been doing for almost 2 years now, every second and fourth Thursday. And we bring topics like GenAI or any other emerging topics, emerging technologies that you should know of, so that you can make a sane decision on which career stream you should choose, which career path you should choose, and how you can build your career into that technology. Okay? So do attend Jobinars in future, and do visit this Jobinar page where recordings, we are posting recordings. Other than the recordings of these sessions of Jobinars, we've also uploaded a lot of master classes on the Jobinar page. There are certain master classes that were held by IIT professors. Okay. I mean, as and when these courses were announced, so many master classes have been done. So all those are recordings are posted on the Jobinar page. You can see it here. And with that, thank you so much, Hemant, for giving us your immense knowledge, your precious time, and preparing the case studies as per our desire. our understanding was a certain understanding we had that this is the way the students may understand. Take some, absorb the information that you're going to give. So thank you so much for bringing the slides into that format. That takes a lot of effort. And thank you, audience. Keep coming back to the Jobinars and so many other sessions that we keep doing. See you. Thank you.
Thanks, Varun. Wish you all the best.